Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about the fourth and final phase of the career design process, which is the launch phase. Now, most people, when they're thinking about making a career change, immediately jump to the job search. They skip over all that stuff we talked about around reflection, definition, testing, and instead they just start sending out resumes left and right. Now, what do we know about this process? Well, it fails 90 to 95% of the time. What I mean by that is for every 10 resumes that you send out, you hear back from maybe one. And it's not always something good that you hear back, right? So the process that most of us are using to find the next gig is highly inefficient, very broken. There is a better way. Now, just by going through the process of defining what it is you're interested in after doing reflection, testing the different options, you have already improved this process so much, because even when you do get to the whole job search piece, it is much more clear to you what it is you're looking for. And as a result, your search is going to be much more targeted, and you're not going to be wasting time chasing leads that aren't ultimately going to go anywhere. So that's great. You've already done that. However, there are still ways that you can make the whole job search process far more effective. Now, for us, we refer to the job search process as the launch phase. Essentially, we're talking about the same thing, though. How do you actually land the next job once you've decided on the career path that you're going to pursue? So, what I'd like to do in this video is walk you through the 5 steps that we believe are far more effective at helping you actually land that next step once you've figured out what it is. So, let's go ahead and get started. There are 5 steps, and just real quick, I'm going to read through them, and then we'll go through each and spend some time on them. Number 1 is create your shortlist. Number 2, build relationships. 3, show your value, and get referred. 4, wow them with your resume and interviews. Interesting, that came 4th, not 1st. And lastly, negotiate your offers. So let's go ahead and dig into these. Number 1, create your shortlist. We are big believers that you are better off pursuing organizations than specific roles. Now, why might this be? Well, when you just focus on what roles are currently out there and publicly posted, you've immediately limited yourself to just looking at things that you might be able to land today, and you've cut off the possibility of working with an organization that might actually be really awesome for you, but just doesn't happen to have a great job available at the moment. So, by focusing instead on cultivating a list of great organizations, you are putting yourself in a position of power where you are saying no to organizations that are not a great fit for you, and you are only including organizations that are going to be awesome to work for, regardless of whether or not they currently have a job posted. Number 2, build relationships. On this topic of jobs being posted, there are varying stats out there, but most people agree that somewhere between 50 and 70% of jobs never even get publicly posted. This is not true if we're talking about anything from the federal government. However, for all other jobs, companies are not required to publicly advertise that they're hiring. Instead, if you're in the position of a company doing hiring, you would rather hire somebody from within or through a network that you have. If you don't have to post it publicly and go through that arduous vetting process, that's what you would prefer to do. So, we are huge believers in building relationships with those targeted organizations that you want to cultivate. So, when it comes to building relationships, remember that you are trying to connect with people. These are humans, they have complex, multifaceted lives. You're not just asking for an informational interview. Instead, you're building a relationship. You are asking thoughtful questions after doing lots of targeted research. And you're looking for advice. You're not asking for favors. What's most important when you're building relationships is to offer value. What I mean by that is anytime you reach out to somebody that you want to connect with, ask yourself, how am I going to make this interaction worth their while? How am I going to make this interaction valuable to them? If you can always be delivering value when you're connecting with folks and building relationships, they're going to see you as a trusted partner and advisor, and you're going to be the type of person they think of when they're getting ready to hire for a new role. By the way, we offer some really awesome workshops on effective relationship building, so check those out. Number 3, show your value and get referred. So, as I kind of started talking about a minute ago, employers will prefer to hire somebody internally or someone who's referred internally over a random external candidate that nobody knows and no one has a relationship with. So, your goal should be to get referred by somebody you know within an organization that you want to work for. And there are ways that you can make this happen. But before we get there, it is really important that you don't just tell people about what you think you can deliver. Instead, you actually show them. So as you'll remember from our last video where we did test projects, you can essentially do something very similar to a test project for a very specific organization that you want to work with. And by presenting them with a tangible, relevant example of the work that you do, of the value that you create, you've immediately just set yourself apart from everybody else who's just standing back and begging for a job, only submitting a resume and not having a relationship. So think about this. How do you show your value, not tell, but show your value to somebody that you know such that they feel comfortable referring you to a position? And that brings us to, how do you actually get referred? Well, a question that you should feel comfortable asking somebody once you've built a relationship with them is, do you think I'd be a good fit for this role within your organization? If they say no, well then maybe it's not a good fit. Maybe you should move on. Or maybe you should find somebody else because this person maybe didn't get it. On the flip side, if they say, yeah, I think you'd be a great fit here after getting to know you, after seeing what you can create, I think you'd be awesome here. That's where you can follow up and say, would you be willing to refer me? The second you get referred internally by a trusted employee, you jump to the very top of a recruiting manager's list. So that should be your goal, is to get referred. Number 4, wow them with your resume and interviews. This is number 4. Keep that in mind. Number 4, before you submit a single resume, you should already have gone through the work of building that short list, creating relationships with people, showing your value, trying to get referred first before you submit a resume, have them ask for your resume, and then you get here to resumes. So, a lot that we could say about resumes and interviews, but just want to give you 2 really quick things. For resumes, they need to be clear, concise, and most importantly, they need to demonstrate the impact that your work has had. You want the reader to sit back and think to themselves, wow, I hope that this person can create those sorts of results for me at my organization. So don't just talk about what you did, talk about the impact of what you did, the value that you created, because that's ultimately what the reader cares about. We also, by the way, offer some workshops on crafting an awesome resume. Keep that in mind. Interviews. Again, a lot we could say about interviews, but some quick basic things. You want to make sure that you are using the opportunity that an interview affords to share your authentic story. Be a whole person. Show them your character, your personality. Be the type of person that they want to work with. And more importantly, it is your opportunity to elaborate on how you can create value for an employer. So every single time you're answering a question, the real thing that you're saying is, this is how I will create value for you because I've created it in the past for others. Lastly, negotiate your offers. Now, this might feel a little bit daunting, but trust me, it's worthwhile. If you can get multiple job offers at the same time, you immediately are in a position of power rather than being in a position of vulnerability. By being able to say no to one and yes to another, not only are you going to feel better about the decision that you ultimately make, but you can also leverage those 2 offers off of one another. So when it comes to negotiating salary, you can say, hey, I'd love to come work for you. However, I've got another great offer and this is what they're going to give me. That's awesome for you. But beyond that, you don't just need to negotiate salary. You can also negotiate benefits. So if an employer tells you, listen, I cannot go any higher than X, that is an opportunity for you to say, okay, I understand that. What else could we negotiate on? Perhaps I can get some more vacation days or a starting bonus, or perhaps you fast track me to a promotion. There are many ways in which you can negotiate other than just your salary. So keep that in mind. There is so much more that we could go into on all 5 of these points, but I think the big takeaway for you should be this. When it comes time to actually go out and find the next job because you know what you're looking for, don't just go straight to Indeed and scroll through postings. Instead, find awesome companies, build real relationships, show your value, try to get referred rather than just submitting your resume blindly. And when it does come time for those resumes and interviews, you're going to crush them, you're going to show your value. And lastly, when it's time to negotiate offers, you're going to ideally have multiple that you can leverage off of one another. And if you follow all of this, you will hopefully be well on your way to building a career that you truly love. So, in summary, Mission Collaborative, we are here to support you on your career journey. We are all about helping you design a career that you will genuinely love, and we offer all sorts of programs and workshops that allow you to do this, not by yourself, but with us, with our structure, with our community, with our accountability. So we invite you to come and share that with us. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Take care.